Australian Rugby Technical Advisor Brian O'Shea was at the number 1 sports ground last night, keen to call the shots. A special training session for the Newcastle Wildfires proved invaluable. The lesson should pay off tomorrow.
He took the forwards through scrummaging technique, and with the youth and the inexperience that we have in the forwards, they've learnt a great deal from that session last night.
The Wildfires are out of the race for the finals, but hope to be the surprise packet in the last few rounds.
The players will continue on, and I think will show great benefits from the year and the experience.
It's the last minor round of the Newcastle Rugby League this weekend. Tomorrow, Curry is at home to Central. Maitland will play its last game of the season against minor premiers Wests. And on Sunday, the Bay tackle Toronto, Cessnock meets Souths, while Lakes will clash with Waratah Mayfield. The Seagulls are backing up from that Tuesday night thriller at Harker Oval. They lost to the Rosellas in the dying stages, 22 points to 20. Softball and the Castle Lakers play their first game of the season this weekend. The women clash with the Sharks on Saturday, while the men are at home to the Dolphins. The club launched season 96-97 earlier this week with promises of big things on the diamond. And the NBL may still be in Olympic recess, but the Falcons and Kings will still be on court this weekend. On Sunday, they will entertain at Broadmeadow in a charity match for young quadriplegic Matthew Carmody.
It was on Curry Road at about 9:30 last night that William John Blaine lost his life. The 69-year-old Curry man and his passenger were driving west away from the John Renshaw Drive turnoff when his vehicle broke down. He was looking for a torch in the back of the car, parked partially on the road, when another car hit him from behind. Police say the driver had no time to avoid the collision. Later, the life of an 18-year-old man was cut short on Railway Parade at Blackwell's Park. John Michael McGill was hit by a car while he lay in the middle of the road just after 10 o'clock. Police are seeking the assistance of a person who called Toronto Station earlier in the night to report a person lying on the road. Laura Saperstein, NBN News. The old SES building on Nobby's Road, Newcastle, caught alight around midnight, flames eating up the weatherboard and fibro building in minutes. Fire crews battled the blaze, but to no avail. The disused building was totally destroyed. This morning, the ruins were still smouldering. It's thought squatters were living there. A search was made for bodies this morning, but nothing was found. The destruction caused by another fire, this time at Dora Creek, could be seen clearly this morning. This timber house gutted. Its resident, Warren Hardy, who was asleep at the time, owes his life to an anonymous passer-by who pulled him from his burning room.
I don't know who he is at the moment, but if he watches, I really thank him very much for my son's life, because I don't think he would have made it.
Mr. Hardy was to move out today. He'd only yesterday taken down a smoke detector.
The match at Carl Oval counted for little in the wash-up of the season. Waratah well and truly out of calculations. Lakes guaranteed a top 2 finish. But the Seagulls were far from impressive. The first half marred with a comedy of errors. Most critics had predicted a whitewash, but Lakes showed little flair. It took more than 20 minutes before the home side finally found a gap, and David Smith ran in a 6-0 lead. That laid the foundations for the rest of the match. Brendan George built on the score, but with the finals starting next week, Lake's form was far from their best this season, and another concern is Ewan McGrady. He was taken from the field after injuring his ankle. The Newcastle Wildfires were fighting for end-of-season pride at the #1 sports ground today. Down 24-5 early in the second half, the forward pack hinted at a comeback. 12 points in it, but the Pirates bounced back 5 minutes later to extend the margin again and put the game out of reach. In the Newcastle Rugby Union, Merewether beat University, the Waratahs flogged Hamilton, Wanderers edged out Mayfield East, and Singleton remain on top of the ladder with a 4-point victory over Maitland. Deloraine has advanced in the NBN Soccer League, beating Wallsend in this afternoon's elimination final. The Eagles started the match favourites, and despite an early scare, Edgeworth dominated the opening half, scoring their first goal courtesy of Danny Gordon in the 6th minute. Plenty of other chances also for Deloraine as the side marched on another week, while the Red Devils season is over. Newcastle has confirmed its reputation as the team to beat in the Division 1 Inter-District Netball competition. The Flyers finished the minor rounds with a 5-goal victory over second-place Campbelltown. In today's other match, Ku-ring-gai upset Charlestown. The sides were playing for the last spot in the finals at Charlestown netball courts, and the visitors were on top throughout. Holding a 1-point lead at quarter time, Ku-ring-gai went on with the job to knock Charlestown out of the competition. Finals start next week. Souths also had no troubles finding the net today in the men's hockey premiership. The league favourites beat Maitland 4-0 to remain undefeated in the competition. And day one of the state softball league, the Castle Lakers beaten by the Sharks 2-1.
"11-month-old Zach was full of life this morning, sharing some fun with a friend. Last night, just before midnight, Zach and his mother Diane were sound asleep in their Abermain home. But the ceiling around the pipe from the wood heater had caught alight, heat in the pipe generating a small fire. 2 smoke alarms immediately went off, waking Diane. At first she thought nothing of it.
I just turned them off and went back into the bedroom. And then I could hear the crackling inside in the roof, so I went back outside. And there was all black around the ceiling, around the chimney, so I called the fire brigade.
It happened as the fire brigade is running a special campaign warning people that smoke detectors can save lives. Like in the commercial, young Zach was saved, Diane rushing him next door. Quick work from a passerby and the fire officers controlled the blaze. Diane had put in smoke detectors just a few months ago. This morning she had this message for other households.
Make sure you got the smoke detectors in, and yeah, I think they saved my life last night.
We can't emphasise to the people, especially our local people, that detectors do work.
We've proven it today.
Oh, definitely.
Nelson Bay RSL is one of the most successful clubs in the state with a healthy turnover and profit.
We made, I think, approximately $1.73 million last year. We budgeted to make $2 million this year.
And the club is planning for better times ahead. Already work has begun on a $4 million expansion to its food services, including a brasserie-style setup. The club is so confident in tourism and growth in the region, it's also looking to construct a $3 million convention centre to seat up to 1,000 people. In an unusual move, the RSL has had preliminary talks with Port Stephens Council to see if the two groups could build it together, although it could be years off.
Maybe there's a chance that there might be a joint venture between the two where we might provide the facility and they might help us to fast track it and get it going a little more quickly than we would have wished.
Peter Ryan, NBN News. It's not your everyday run-of-the-mill family car. Measuring 7.6 metres, it's an old hearse.
The only bodies that get in now are the Fanningham ones, the live ones.
The 30-year-old Pontiac with an extra door extension is taking part in the Variety Club's bash from Bondi to Bachelor. That's near Darwin. The crew from Grafton and one from Newcastle are deadly serious. The trip in the hearse is just pure fun. So it doesn't get a bit spooky in it at night time?
No, mate, no, she's clean.
You don't have to wear black to drive in it?
No.
The 8-day trip through to Australia's top end to raise money for charity leaves on Saturday. One welcome sponsor has been a brewery. At the end of each day, a few cooling beers will go down well. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
As Newcastle coroner Col Elliott deals with the tragedy of heroin abuse with frightening frequency. In 1994, 5 people died in the city from heroin overdoses. Last year that jumped to 13, and already this year there have been 8 heroin-related deaths. But that's just the tip of a much larger problem.
The information that I have indicates that in July alone this year there were 21 cases of the use of Narcan to reverse effects of overdosages. And if it weren't for that, I'd have another 22 cases in that month alone to deal with.
Today, Mr Elliott handed down his findings into yet another heroin death. 26-year-old Adrian Ball of Charlestown died last year. He was a casual user and, according to Mr Elliott, a fine young man with a lot of life to look forward to. Mr Elliott says the community needs to be aware the drug is deadly.
I feel for the parents and family members and those who love these people that have overdosed. We're here as a caring community, aren't we? And we should be looking to ways of making sure that that sort of activity is stopped and that those who need help and care get it.
What's also a concern to the coroner is how easily the drug can be obtained. Most users simply travel by train to Cabramatta, and as they get off at the station, they're swamped by dealers who want to sell the drug. The users have no idea how potent the heroin is. In most fatal cases, it's been rock heroin, more than 70% pure. Mr Elliott says people in the community who have information which might help police must come forward.
We have a moral and a legal obligation to inform the authorities, to let the police know.
Jodie McKay, NBN News. The child was dragged into bushland and assaulted as she played in Jesmond Park 3 weeks ago. Today, police charged a 38-year-old Jesmond man with having sexual intercourse with a child under 10 and abduction. He's been refused bail and will appear in Newcastle Court tomorrow.
The Barrington Tops has been identified as a crucial conservation holding. Green groups lobbying for a decade to have 63,000 hectares of land declared off-limits as an official wilderness area.
We need to close the roads down, gazette the whole area, rehabilitate those areas which have been damaged and take this historic moment.
But the Wilderness Society is worried that the Carr government may back down. It says increasing pressure from the timber industry and from off-road vehicle enthusiasts has had an effect in Cabinet and that the proposed declaration is now in jeopardy.
We're saying to Bob Carr, you ran hard on a green platform, now's the time to deliver. And we've been watching and waiting for Wilderness for over 10 years. We've trusted you on this one and we have long memories.
But a spokesman for Environment Minister Pam Allen today said there had been no wavering on the wilderness issue and that the government remains on track to fulfil its promises in protecting high conservation value areas.
Roy Della Torre from the Newcastle suburb of Jesmond was charged yesterday by Major Crime Squad detectives. Today he appeared in Newcastle court to answer charges of abducting a 9-year-old girl and having intercourse with her. The child was playing at Jesmond Park last month when she was dragged into bushes and assaulted. In asking that bail be refused, Police Prosecutor Sergeant Phil Lloyd told the court that samples of blood and semen from clothing found at the house of Roy Della Torre matched that taken from the young victim. Police are awaiting the results of further DNA tests. The court was told that special arrangements had been made for Della Torre's protection while in custody. Magistrate Michael Morahan ordered that Roy Della Torre be detained at Lithgow Jail. He'll reappear in Newcastle Court on September 18th.
After a meeting behind closed doors, the Knights trained at Marathon Stadium late this afternoon, all players well aware of the big job ahead. Out of the 8 for the first time this year, only now is the team realising the finals dream has all but slipped away.
We've got ourselves into a cross situation like we have at the moment. You know, at this time of the year you're probably looking to establish yourself in the top 4 instead of trying to sneak into the 8.
If there has ever been a desperate need for the 2 Optus Cup points, it is now.
We don't want to be sitting at home watching the semi-finals.
The Knights need to win 4 from 4 to make the cut, but are focused solely on Monday. The Eels were outstanding last week against the Roosters. Mark Glanville has the job of marking in form Jim Dimmick.
You know, he's probably, I guess, half their side really, and he's playing on one leg, so you know, I guess he'll come in for a fair bit of treatment. If we can sort of get him off the park a bit earlier than the end of the game, we might go a long way towards winning it.
Also against Newcastle is the night football record. The side has lost its last 3 matches under lights.
That record, I know it sounds pretty bad, but we're all looking forward to Monday night.
Team departs on Sunday. Jonathan Upton, NBN News. A big crowd at Curry's Boots Stadium this afternoon for day 1 of the Newcastle Rugby League finals, and on the paddock both sides rose to the occasion. Buoyed by the club's win in reserve grade, the Bulldogs continued where the second team left off with crunching defence. But a weight of possession had to take its toll, and after 8 minutes Jason McGrady backed himself. A mere formality for Paul Skovgaard, and the visitors were up 6-0 before Rick Ryan landed one himself to bring the margin back to 4. 10 minutes in the bin for Matt Parrish, and the locals had more to cheer about before Craig Melia made the most of the 12-man opposition to put the Bulldogs on top. A mistake from the kick-off presented the locals with another 6 tackles, but full of running, powerful centre Glenn Messenger needed only 1. The boot of Rick Ryan extended the lead, and despite a gallant effort to come back, the Scorpions fell short, their season over, while Curry lived to fight another round next weekend.
Really came down to scrutinising the quality of how the garment was made, the way it was presented. So it wasn't that easy.
The local watering hole isn't where you'd expect advice on getting healthy, but in an innovative program, the pubs and clubs are working on just that.
They cater for so many people in the community of different ages, different genders, ages, different cultural groups, so there's a great capacity for them to have a strong influence on the communities.
Newcastle University and the Area Health Service are advising publicans on safe drinking practices and healthy eating. Some pubs will now offer over-the-counter condoms to promote safe sex, even bins to dispose of needles. Pointing out the risk of smoking is also part of the program, but pubs aren't keen enough to support a cigarette ban.
Some people do like to have a cigarette, and they like to have a cigarette when they relax, and that's usually when they're having a drink.
Some pubs have brought in special filters to clear the air for the non-smoking customers. Around 18,000 people die from smoking-related disease in Australia each year, 6,000 from alcohol. Excessive drinking is also a concern for local police. Newcastle police admit there are still real problems out on the streets with antisocial, drunken behaviour.
I mounted a task force to address that problem. As a result, we arrested 20 people on Saturday night.
Police say the pubs and clubs are not to blame. Young people are coming into the CBD already drunk, creating problems. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Union officials were appalled at what they believe were a number of accidents waiting to happen on the site, but their main concern was for fibrous insulation scattered about.
When we came onto this site this morning, we never expected to see a site as bad as this. We have synthetic mineral fibres, we have alleged asbestos.
After a work cover inspection, the club was ordered to seal internal areas to safeguard patrons and staff. Building contractor Stronach was told to make the site safe. A meeting between club officials, Stronach, the unions, and work cover will take place tomorrow. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
Passengers got a chance to try out the state-of-the-art Beechcraft 1900Ds today. Valued at $6.5 million each, the two new aircraft are a sign that Impulse has real confidence in the future.
We see our growth area from Newcastle through to Brisbane and bringing people to the Hunter region.
The planes will be used to fly from Newcastle through to Taree, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Lismore, Coolangatta and Brisbane, and direct Newcastle to Brisbane flights. Impulse has cashed in on routes that Eastern Airlines has stopped flying. In the last 12 months, the company has increased its passengers by 35% heading north from Newcastle. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
girls 5 minutes to get yourselves undressed and show your stuff. And I'm going to be back out here and I want to see what you've got. And a bright colour better be good.
Make no mistake, these are the future stars of stage and screen. They're taking part in the Hunter Region Drama Festival at the Civic Playhouse over the next 3 days. Organisers say more students are studying drama. That's evident with 600 students from 18 Hunter schools treading the boards. The idea of the festival is to expose students to professional stage conditions.
They don't get many opportunities to perform in such a good facility, and it's a once-a-year opportunity to do that.
Many of the performances are written by students themselves, displaying a wealth of writing and acting talent.
We'll see a variety of work, from scripted work to improvisations, play building, student devised work, the whole gamut of theatrical styles.
Organisers are choosing the best acts from the festival. They'll be showcased before industry representatives at the Playhouse in a fortnight.
After weeks of negotiations, it was pen on paper this afternoon, Newcastle's hometown hero signing with the Knights for the next 3 years.
I feel part of Newcastle more than anything, apart from going up here, and playing here since day one. I don't think I could really leave anyway. And
the agreement, a joint deal with the Knights and ARL, no one could be happier than coach and friend Malcolm Reilly.
This is an inspiration to the team, and I think it's pretty unique.
To date, Harrigan's career has been nothing short of outstanding. From his early days as a hard-running centre with Newcastle club Lakes United, he was signed by the Knights in 1988 as a young face with a big future. Only time would honour that vision. Harrigan has since turned into the most capped representative player from the Knights, his recent kangaroo clash on his favourite home soil against Fiji. At 27, it may seem Harrigan has achieved everything in rugby league, but there is still one more goal, a premiership with Newcastle.
If I can't win a premiership in Newcastle, I don't really want to win one, because it wouldn't be the same.
Knights management has hinted further signings aren't too far away. On the hit list, Robbie O'Davis and the Johns brothers. Jonathan Upton, NBN News.
After 18 months of work, the $11 million redevelopment project at the entrance is nearly complete. Following years of community backlash and criticism, many believed the project wouldn't go ahead. But today Premier Carr was in town to see just how far it had come. His tour started with a stroll along the new boardwalk and a quick briefing from those involved in the project.
If you're going to bring tourists back into the entrance in significant numbers, and the private sector investment that will come with it, then this is the way to start.
Work is still underway on the new mall, performance stage, amphitheatre and eating areas. They're expected to be completed by Christmas. Long a supporter of urban planning, the Premier was quick to comment on the standard of the project.
This is one of the best examples of urban design I've seen. I can't think of a better example.
It was then time to plant a native tree and turn on a new set of traffic lights. Sarah Griffiths, NBN News.